G'day, and welcome to the Complete Barry's Guide to Low Budget Film.
He's Dave Bishop.
Unfortunately, yes I am. And he's Crob Edmonds.
And I've never met anyone with the same name.
Welcome to Episode 2, Story and Scripting. Episode 2. Who would have ever thought we'd get this far?
I'm stunned.
I mean, what are you people thinking? How do shows like this get a second episode?
Well, I guess Joey got 25 episodes.
That's a very good point. And today we're going to be looking at story and scripting, and damn, but that's a lot of ground to cover.
So we'll just start with the basics.
Air Force One sucked. Good night.
Not quite that basic.
Star Wars Episodes 1, 2, and 3 totally blew chunks. See you later.
Okay, well maybe I'll kick things off with something you might remember from high school English. Every story has to have 3 major components.
Sex, violence, and more sex.
Well, close. It's actually a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Whoa! Slow down, Shakespeare.
The beginning is the introduction to your story, where you introduce the characters and the world they live in,
The middle is where the tension builds towards a climax.
which comes in the third act. And is followed by the resolution.
In my case, usually a resolution never to write again.
Now, this is just a rule of thumb, but it does hold for the vast majority of cases.
Yeah, like chicks will dig you if you have money, good looks, and a cool car. It's not absolutely always the case, but where it's not, those girls are psychos.
Yeah, and as most screenplays are in fact stories, they break down into these 3 elements and follow what we call the 3-act structure.
Yeah, and a 3-act structure basically refers to beginning, middle, end.
You can spice it up a bit with things like the paradigm model.
If I had a dime for every time I was para.
Yes. The paradigm model was invented by Sid Field, who is widely regarded as the godfather of structured screenplay writing. And it's basically your ideal 3-act structure.
Yeah, and it goes a bit like this. The first act is the setup information, and at the end of the setup, you get your first turning point or plot point where the protagonist experiences a change.
Preferably a big change.
Yeah, like when Samuel L. Jackson's daughter gets brutalised in A Time to Kill, or when Neo takes the red pill in The Matrix.
Yeah, the change gives him or her the goal that they have to achieve in the film. And thus begins the confrontation period. Because you see, the goal should always have obstacles.
These are hurdles.
Preventing the protagonist from achieving it.
Like, vampires, or a Terminator, or pants.
Pants?
Never mind.
Don't worry about you.
You're not alone.
There's also a variation in the paradigm model that involves a final twist.
The best examples are your M. Night Shyamalan films. Well, Hitchcock back in the day, but M. Night these days. Some would argue he may have lost it, but he's definitely produced some of the best twist films in the last decade. Unbreakable, and of course, M. Night doesn't have the monopoly. The Illusionist has a pretty good twist at the end of it. The Usual Suspects has a great one.
Written by a guy who taught at our school.
Yeah, and I feel like I should get down on my knees or metaphorically sacrifice a virgin before I even mention the name of this next masterpiece.
What is it with you and virgins?
We have a lot in common. Anyway, that's the 3-act structure, and about 90% of films follow that structure because it works. Of course, you can muck with it. On your own, you can come up with something far more complicated, if you want it.
Okay, so we've got
Begin
the...
at the end.
Okay.
And then
At the middle, just before the beginning, he's like a robot. He can travel through time. Okay, so,
And then he comes back to the beginning, and he ends up being his own mother. So now you know how a script is formatted and structured, we're going to show you some of the tools you can use to start work on your masterpiece.
There's a lot of screenwriting software out there. Some of it's expensive, some of it's free.
Yeah, and this is probably a good time to raise something you're going to encounter frequently.
Sharks and Charlton.
That's a good name for a movie.
I thought of it.
Because the movie world is so hugely popular and something that's so close to so many of our hearts, it's a world that attracts all types.
Most types you meet are awesome people, especially at the coalface of actually getting movies made.
Yeah, film crews, the guys and girls are the most awesomest people you'll ever meet.
Highly skilled tradesmen and women who could probably be making a hell of a lot more money if they just did something a little more profitable.
Yeah, all of whom have chosen to work longer hours for less money in an industry where the only compensation they get is the knowledge that they're creating something. Hello, Shadow.
But stereotypes exist for a reason, and as any of you who watch Entourage will know,
Hollywood is full of hot chicks.
and sharks.
Yeah, sharks and hot chicks.
You know, Entourage is just Sex in the City for guys.
Ever mention those two shows in the same sentence again? No.
But some people just want to take your money.
There are 2 packages that vie for the title of Best in the Business, or Industry Standard.
Yeah, so there's Movie Magic and Final Draft.
Yeah, they're both awesome. I totally use Final Draft, but I'll totally switch over to Movie Magic if they give us any of their scheduling and budgeting software, or I'll totally stay faithful if Final Draft, maybe arrange some publicity in their excellent magazine Script.
Yeah, that'd be good.
We'll be completely impartial and only recommend to you the best package by the best publisher, regardless of whether or not they send us any free merchandise or software, you know what I'm saying? But enough sucking up to the high end of the market, there are also some fantastic low budget or even free software packages.
That we'll totally disavow if we get any kind of free stuff.
There's Celtics, which you can download at Celtics.com.
And there's Scriptic, which was developed by a dashing, entrepreneurial,
Chubby.
local developer. It's designed to facilitate collaborative script development.
Your script lives online, protected by your password, which you can share with your co-writers and collaborators.
And you can work together wherever you are in the world to craft your masterpiece.
So that covers the basic. We're going to come back to story and script all the way through this series because it is vital. It's the most important part of your movie and it touches everything else.
Yeah, as they say, if it's not on the page, it's not on the stage. So, if you've always wanted to write a movie, now's your time.
Yeah, people ask me all the time, can I sleep with you? And also, how do I write a script? And the answer's simple, just do it.
Oh, so you're angling for a pair of Nikes now.
Of course not, size 10.5. But the point is, if it seems daunting, just start small. One sentence.
What is your story?
Yeah, and from there take it to one paragraph and then one page.
And when your one-page treatment's good enough to show someone you trust, then you're really cooking.
And just a note on that, just be good friends are good to show it to, but just be a little bit careful when you're showing it to someone you're romantically involved in. Because 9 times out of 10, your script will involve a handsome young guy or girl, and that person may wonder who that guy or girl is if it's not them, or what you're trying to say about them if it is. So just be a little bit careful. But the point is, just go make a start. Just don't not do it.
And may the force be with you.
Woohoo, 2 apps, 2 days. Fuck, it's hard work though, isn't it?
It is. What's your number one film of all time?
At the moment, it's either Departed or Iron Man.
Iron Man number one of all time out of everything you've ever seen.
Yeah. What's yours?
Don't know, it's not Iron Man.
Yeah, but yours is Raiders or something.
It's close to.
If I had a choice between seeing Raiders or Iron Man, I would go and see Iron Man.
At the moment.
Right now.
Yeah,
That's what a Top 100 is.
fair enough. What is it with you and virgins?
That's a long story.
We have a lot in common.
We have a lot to go. Oh, fuck. And it's simple. Just don't do it. Not. And most Methna.
いしかいが、トンチェ、フォインダーハイント、ポイターダーテングブレホーシャーダートリアクトストラクチュ。
Yeah, there's DNA in his robot, which we find out in the middle of Act 2.
Yeah, it's avocado DNA.
Space
Space avocado.
Space avocado.
Okay.
It's better than real avocado.
Your number one film of all time.
Double Airbags 2. That'll do.
One more.
One more?
One more. We're gonna nail it this time.
Okay, where are you going to be? Just pick on a position, buddy.
Let's go. We're rolling.